Oh, good evening. Good evening and welcome. Mill Valley Zen International online, and special welcome to Bruno, one of the founding members of Mill Valley Zen online from Santiago, Chile. And welcome back, Chad, was with us a long time ago. And Lisa, I was wondering, where's Lisa? What happened to Lisa? Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you all. Welcome, everyone. Well, I uh, I woke up this morning thinking, um, why isn't the world getting together and stopping this madman in Russia from destroying a country? How could we let that happen? And there are people. Again, I know, there are people in cities. It just seems so. I wondered, and then the next thought was, well, what can I do? And I don't know. I think about maybe I could do some kind of a half-day sitting or one-day sitting to support people and raise money for support of Ukraine. So that's something I'm cooking up. Uh, I was also feeling the uh, I think I'm being in, this so the topic tonight, is the reading supported from within. And I think I'm mostly over it, but I used to feel a little criticized by some things he says in here, because he criticizes priests that wear Western clothing. And I'm like, I'm one of those priests. And but then I've been studying it and reading it and realizing, no, he's really talking about Japanese traditional priests who come to the United States and don't trust practice enough and wear Western clothing, were taking off their robes and putting on Western clothing. And he was critical of that. That's how I read it. I'm not sure, but I was thinking how, again, for me personally, I've been feeling more and more wonderfully schizophrenic. That I feel like I'm more and more showing up as a Zen priest, and I'm more and more being a business guy. That in some way, I think I'm reading what he's saying in that particular paragraphs as being committed to what you're doing and somehow trusting in what you're doing, in whatever you're committed to, whether you're a Zen priest or whatever it is, to trust it and then find that the support that comes from within. But also, he's also talking about the support that comes, from the outside as well, and the miraculous and strange how things happen, particularly how things happen, I think, when we're fully committed. And yeah, so it's interesting too, just to open it up, this question of support, right? How are we supported? And it's easy to forget that, for many years we were supported by our parents or our guardians, and that, that we humans, unlike almost all other creatures, are completely vulnerable and completely require support. And that, and even now, of course, we depend on not only each other, but the air and the earth yeah, the food that grows, the water. Anyhow, there's so much support. But in this chapter, he says, yeah, he starts out, it's interesting. He's also saying that, traditional chants in Zen places, you might think that they're, because there's chants about, uh, you know, uh, not wanting calamities. Um, yeah, he says, may the temples go smoothly, may the calamity with the country and temple, like war, epidemic, famine, may these be averted. And he's saying, but we're not asking for help. We're not asking for outside help. That really the practice is creating the feeling of non-duality, right? The feeling of non-duality and strong conviction. And he's saying, if that kind of feeling is with us, we will be supported. And then he's cautioning, if we become involved in dualistic, selfish practice, and if we think that we're practicing in order to support our buildings or our organization, or get too worried about our personal life, that's not the feeling that we're looking for. When we have strong, he goes on to say, when we have strong confidence in our way, we do not expect anything. We can do everything with deep, calm feeling. This is our practice. And then he has this interesting paragraph about, again, I think he's trying to, I think, give examples of duality and non-dualistic ways of looking at things. So he says, if you think cleaning the restroom is dirty work, that is the wrong idea. The restroom is not dirty. Even though you don't clean it, it is clean, or more than clean. So not everyone might agree with this, but really, so he's using, the taking the relative, in the relative world, there is clean and dirty, right? Your restroom, your bathroom, or your house might be clean, or it might be dirty, and we're always, cleaning it. It's a very dusty, dirty world, I've been noticing. But he's saying there's another way to look at it. That dirty is a relative way of looking at things, and whether you clean it or not, it's not what you think. It's not dirty. But we clean it not to get it clean, but we clean it to practice. We clean it to have a physical way of feeling what a non-dual world is like. So in some way, it's really best to clean things when they're not dirty, right? To just, there is something, in Zen monasteries, every morning there's cleaning time, and every morning the bathroom is cleaned. So as you can imagine, it's pretty clean bathroom, pretty clean toilets, because they're cleaned every day. And he says, right, if you're cleaning because it's dirty, this is not our way, right? He's saying clean and dirty, right, exist only in the relative world. They are a story. They are an interpretation. They are a judgment. And of course, everything is a story, right? There are events, and there's our perceptions, and there's how we interpret them. Like it says in the chant, the Heart Sutra, right? No eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no old age and death, and also no extinction of them. So he's not negating, he's not saying that our bathrooms aren't dirty. And just like this chant isn't saying that we don't have eyes and ears and nose and tongue and body and mind and old age and death, but these are dualistic ways of looking at the world. And the other line in the Heart Sutra that is one of my favorite lines that I keep coming back to: without hindrance, there is no fear. Without hindrance, there is no fear. And I think that's saying the hindrance, whatever hinders us from living in this non-dual world, right? That whatever hinders us from letting go. Again, this I think it was last week, he described a he says, don't be a board carrying fellow. Don't see only from the side of the ordinary, see from the side that we are not only ordinary, we are holy and sacred. Don't see the bathroom only as dirty. See that it can't be dirty. See that dirty is completely an interpretation. See that everything is an interpretation. Yeah, so I think this criticism he's making of priests and wearing Western clothing, I think, is a criticism of that they were not embracing non-duality, that they were being caught by the idea of priest or Western, and that he's suggesting that if we can cut through the non-dual world and commit fully to what we're doing and commit fully to practice, we will find that we are supported from within and from without. That of course we're cultivating this inner sense of sincerity, of commitment, of non-duality, and that we're noticing the support that comes. He tells the story of that when he was living in Japan. This was during World War II. He was giving away all of his food that people would make donations into his rice box, and he would notice that there was a lot of hunger, and he would go out and give people his rice. And somehow some of the people who in his community noticed that his rice box was empty, and they started bringing him rice. And he uses that as an example of the trusting in our practice, trusting in the practice of not only generosity, but in the practice of non-duality. I want to read a short poem. This poem is called "The Way It Is" by a woman named Lynn Unger. One morning you might wake up to realize that the knot in your stomach had loosened itself and slipped away, and that the pit of unfulfilled longing in your heart had gradually, and without your really noticing, been filled in, patched like a pothole, not quite the same as it was, but good enough. And in that moment, it might occur to you that your life, though not the way you planned it, and maybe not even entirely the way you wanted it, is nonetheless persistently, abundantly, miraculously, exactly the way it is. I thought this was a good poem about finding, being supported from within. One morning you might wake up to realize that the knot in your stomach had loosened itself and slipped away, and that the pit of unfulfilled longing in your heart had gradually, and without your really noticing, been filled in, patched like a pothole, not quite the same as it was, but good enough. And in that moment, it might occur to you that your life, though not the way you planned it, and maybe not even entirely the way you wanted it, is nonetheless persistently, abundantly, miraculously, exactly the way it is. And And even in this time of war, uh, I think it's a real test of our practice, and the that despite the incredible pain and heartbreak, in some strange way, everything is exactly the way it is. Everything is exactly the way it is, and uh, we should be, you know, heartbroken and looking for what we can do, and I think we should clean the bathroom, not to clean it, but just to practice, just to practice with utter sense of sincerity.